Welcome back to my channel. My name's Colleen. Today I'm talking about books. This video was supposed to come out yesterday, but then my TBR video didn't go out earlier in the week, so here we are, a day late. Now, a lot of the books that I read this month were library books on my e-reader. So this is actually all the physical books that I have with me to talk about. But I do have my handy dandy bullet journal with all of the books that I read this month written down. So we will be referencing this as we talk about the various books that I read in November. November was a pretty good reading month for me. I read 12 books. I like to say 13 though, because one of them was a bind up of 2 books. The majority of them were ebooks that I got from the library, and I didn't read any manga or graphic novels this month, which is a little sad, but also means like all the books I read were long books that took me a while to finish. So at the beginning of the month, I started off by finishing the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels. This was actually a physical copy that I had borrowed from the library and has since returned to the library. That's by Holton. It's the first book in this series, and it was just okay. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I don't really have a whole bunch to say about it. I didn't find that the main characters had a lot of chemistry, and the only thing that I really loved about it is that the houses flew, and they treated their houses like ships, and I thought that that was pretty cool. So I rated that 3 stars. It's fine. Then I followed that up with The Ruthless Guide to Wizardry, which has a very similar title, but is by a completely different author, C.M. Waggoner. And I adored this book. So the main character is a fire witch, and she kind of cons herself into this job. And, you know, shenanigans happen, there's drugs, they're trying to figure out who's trying to murder people. She falls in love with a lady, the lady falls in love with her, and they live happily ever after. It was so good. I love that book so much, and I'm so sad that I borrowed it from the library and don't have my own copy. I rated it 5 out of 5. It was my favorite book of the month, and I would highly recommend reading it. It is a fun ride. Then I read an ebook that I bought, The Rivals of Casper Road by Roan Parrish. I kind of bought this as a joke, as it is a Harlequin novel, and I thought all Harlequin novels were bodice rippers. I have been proved wrong. So thank you to the Harlequin team for making good memes that have inspired me to pick up your book. I enjoyed this. It was great. It was the 4th book in a series. I had no idea what was going on. It's just about the small town that is, you know, half inhabited by gay people. What more can you want? And the main premise of the book is that there's a street that has a Halloween decorating competition. And there's 2 men that live across the street from each other that are polar opposites, and they're competing against each other, and they fall in love. It was very sweet. It was like a Hallmark movie in a book, and I really enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. I would recommend it, and I feel like I've lost credibility by saying that. Next, I read my first book from my actual physical TBR of the month, The League of Gentlewomen Witches by Holton. This is the 2nd book in this series. I liked it slightly better than the first. I think that the 2 characters had slightly better chemistry, and it still had flying houses, which I really enjoyed. However, it's still just like, it just didn't do it for me. I don't know what it was missing, but something. Anyways, I rated this also 3 stars, so I believe that there is another book in the series. I might see if I can get it from the library, but it's not one that I will continue to buy. Then I followed it up with another physical book for my TBR. I guess I didn't have another ebook at this time. Find Me by Alafair Burke. I originally started reading this for a book club for work that no one read the books for except for me. And I got this as an ARC from HarperCollins, so thank you HarperCollins for giving this to me. And this just didn't do it for me. It wasn't what I was expecting. I didn't love the characters. It was just okay. I rated it 3 stars also, so do with that what you will. Then I read Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is also the second book in a series, and I like this one a lot more than the first book. Again, I felt the chemistry between the 2 main characters was better. I just liked the main characters better, but like it was still only just okay, so I rated it 3 stars. Then I read A is for Alibi by Sue Grafton, and followed that promptly with B is for Burglar by Sue Grafton as well. I had this tidy bind up. I got this because my grandmother loved these books and I started reading it right after she died, and then I could no longer read. So I put it down. I put it away, and then I picked it back up because the goal for November was to read the books I had started and hadn't finished. So I finished it. A is for Alibi wasn't like exceptional. It was okay. It read it fine. It felt like it was trying too hard, but I really found that B is for Burglar. Grafton really like hit her stride, and I did very much enjoy B is for Burglar. Unlike most mystery novels I read, I actually figured out this before the end, which was really, really nice. And yeah, I have C and D in the same bind-up form, so I will be continuing on eventually in this series. I rated both of them 3 stars, but again, I think B is for Burglar is better. So if you've read A and you're like, try B. Try it. Try it out. See if you like it. Then I read To Heaven to Hoax by Martha Waters, and like, it's a no for me. It's a no for me. Like, again, these characters didn't have like good charisma together. They did at the very start, and then like, I don't know. I normally like books about married couples, but this one just didn't do it for me. I also really like miscommunication trope, which was one of the things that was happening in this book, and I just wasn't for me. I have heard from several people that the other books in this series are better, and that they have accidentally read the second one first and then realized that To Heaven to Hoax was first and then went back and read that and did not like this one. So I will continue on. I have the other 2 on hold, so I will read those in the new year at some point, and I rated that 3 stars. So it's a 3-star heavy month. Then I read my last physical read for the month, Slow Fire Burning by Paula Hawkins. I thought The Girl on the Train was just okay, and I really, really loved her second book, which name escapes me, and I didn't really like this one. I didn't like any of the characters. They were all such unreliable narrators, and like the plot was okay, I guess, but like I think that there could have been a lot better execution, and so I rated that 2. I will continue to read from this author and probably continue to buy their books, but that one was a no from me. Then I read The Many Daughters of Afong Moy, and I read this because one of my good friends made a meme about what books they would recommend for different zodiac signs, and this was the one for Gemini, a theme of the month, because that's also why I read The Rivals of Casper Road. And I really enjoyed it. I was a little bit slower reading it than I wanted to be. I got into a little tiny bit of a slump during the week that I was reading it, but the book itself was so good in so many different ways. It follows, I think, 5 or 6 generations of women in the same family. It's dealing with generational trauma, and it was just a beautiful story. 5 out of 5, highly recommend. And you know, if I hadn't have loved The Ruthless Lady's Guide so much, this would have been my book of the month. Then I read Mad About You by Mahari McFarlane, and it was okay. It wasn't what I was expecting going into it. I was expecting a cute rom-com, and I got a book about recovering from abusive relationships. So like, it was pretty heavy, but I really liked the writing. I think it was a well-told story, and it was good. It was good. So I've rated it 4 stars. I would recommend it, but like, obviously a content warning for abusive relationships. Then, finally, to round out the month, I read Run, Hide, Repeat by Pauline Dankin. She is a local reporter here with our CBC, and she's great. I've met her before. I started listening to her podcast by the same name, which is why I wanted to read this book, and it was really good. I really enjoyed her writing style. The story was very interesting and very sad in many respects, and yeah, it was very interesting. I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's good. Also check out the podcast. The podcast is excellent. But yeah, that's it. That's all I read. I would hold up the 4 physical books, but it just looks kind of sad when it's, you know, what is it, a third of what I read this month? So anyways, let me know down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about it. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you're thinking of picking up any of these books, perhaps The Ruthless Lady's Guide to Wizardry or The Many Daughters of Aifang Moy. My 2 favorite books of the month. But yes, let me know. I look forward to hearing from you down there, and if not, we're doing Vlogmas, so check out my vlogs, and I will see you again soon with some more bookish content. Ciao!